we are going to talk about step 5 of the 10 steps to success. And step 5, it just, this is all a succession, right? These are dominoes. And so, of course, we've talked about defining our why. That is the fuel in our rocket that's going to take us to the moon. We got to have fuel or we're not going to go anywhere. We got to make sure we've launched our business, right? We know all the aspects of how we've set ourselves up and who we're going to talk to. We've talked about setting goals and what kind of short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals we need to have in place so that we have the vision for the future and what we're really trying to achieve. Of course, we talked last time about the commitment, being completely committed and being in it to win it, right? And being able to say, yes, that I am planting my flag here. I've got my hat on, my shirt on. I am this team, right? And you're 100% in so that you can not have anybody question you when you get to that point where you're talking to them. They can hear it in your voice, they can see it in your eyes that you are convinced that you have the solution, you have the cookie, you have the answer to what is hurting them. So now that we've gotten to that point, the next thing we need to do is personal development. All right. And we need to become that $1 million person, because if we can do that, if we can, it's not enough to say, hey, I want to just go make $1 million, because there's people that go and do that and they make $1 million, whether they win the lottery or they get an inheritance or who knows how, right? They get that money. And then next thing you know, a couple years from then, they're broke, right? They're bankrupt because they weren't the $1 million person and they didn't know how to manage that money and take it and use it to increase, right? We can take it back to the parable of the talents, the idea of, hey, you're given 2 talents, go turn them into, 4, right? You're given 5 talents, go turn them into 10. That's the idea here, is that we're going to take what we have and develop into something even more. So personal development is a key thing. It's basically what Jim Rohn has always taught, which is if you want to have more, you have to become more. For things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to become better. If you improve, everything will improve for you. If you grow, your money will grow. Your relationships, your health, your business, and every external effect will mirror that growth in equal correlation. Okay. So that's the bottom line right there of step number 5, the personal development. We need to become that successful person so that we attract the success to us, right? And if we do that, then whatever we're doing is going to reflect that and be better. So we're going to let our light shine. Okay, I love this concept of, to succeed in business and in life, we have to be the leader, right? We need to be someone who is willing to shine and actually get up to a higher level. But you've got to be prepared, because when you do that, when you put yourself out there, right, when you decide to be a leader, guess what? There's going to be others who will instantly try and tear you down, right? They don't like it for whatever reason, okay? But hey, if we can shine the light, we're going to help people. We just need to recognize that. So, and that's why a lot of people will stay hidden, because they're afraid, right? They're afraid of making other people feel uncomfortable. And so it's unfortunate, but that's why we don't have as many leaders in the world, right? But people are begging to be led. They really are. Marianne Williamson said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate or not adequate, right? Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that scares us the most. Being less doesn't help the world. There's nothing illuminating in making yourself smaller so that other people do not feel uncomfortable being with you. It is our destiny to shine just as children do. It's not just in some, it's in everyone. And by letting our light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And as long as we are freed from our own fear, our presence automatically frees others. So that's what we do. We got to be the first ones, right? Sometimes it's scary, but if you shine that light, then other people will be like, okay, I can shine my light too. Now I can spread the word about this, right? And that is the ultimate mission. So we don't want to be like the crabs, right? You guys, it's fascinating. This, but it's real. I've actually seen this. There's a video of it where the behavior of a group of crabs. If you put crabs in a bucket, right? So people that go crabbing or whatever they call it, not fishing, right? It's crabbing. So they go and collect the crabs and let's put them in a bucket. And you would think that oh, you got to put a lid on the bucket or something, right, to keep the crabs in, but you don't, because what happens is once you have crabs in the bucket, when one of them tries to climb out and get to the top, the other crabs in the bucket will pull them down, right? And they just that's how they are. And I don't know why, right? But it's crazy how that behavior is. The crabbers, the guys out there collecting the crabs, putting in the bucket, they just know that the other crabs will keep all the crabs, the new ones they put in, they just keep them in, right? And so, unfortunately, that's what happens in life. When you go out and you try and start your own new business, or you try and get people to do something that's going to have a positive social impact in their life, well, the negativity starts, right? And so you'll have people, friends or family, unfortunately, people that we know and love, that will not celebrate that, right? They'll try and say, "Oh, you're crazy," "Oh, it's one of those pyramid schemes. Oh, why are you doing that? Why are you out there?" And they'll pull you back down, right? They want to keep you down where it's comfortable, where it's safe. We don't want that. We want to be not crabs, right? We want to celebrate when people actually go and take risks and try and elevate themselves and get out of the bucket. Okay. So we're going to be leaders. As Jay Abrams said, people are silently begging for us to guide them. They really are, right? There's a lack of leadership in the world, and people just they're kind of lost. And so that's why if you can be a leader, people will follow you because they want to be led. Okay, I think it's true. Most of us who stand up and become leaders, we will be the ones who earn the money and have the power to change people's lives. And there are three things that are going to help us to start that process. First thing is we need to have an idea of lengthening our line. Okay. So here's the story that goes along with that. So this comes from a book called Zen and the Martial Arts by Joe Hyams, right? And so he tells the story about how he was practicing kumite, which is a type of karate, right? And he was practicing against a more expert opponent, right? So while he was trying to compensate for my lack of experience, I started using some silly tricks that were easily defeated. The other guy was much better, and he beat me very easily. So after this, I was, of course, was depressed, right, disappointed. So the opponent took me into his office and he asked me why I was so sad. And he said, because I couldn't get in a single point. Well, he got up and drew a line on the chalkboard. Okay. And he asked, "Hey, how can I make this line shorter?" And of course, after studying it, it gave many answers, such as cutting it into pieces or whatever. But he said, no. Then he drew a longer line than the first one. So what does the first line look like? Well, yeah, it's shorter, right? Exactly. It is always better to try and improve and strengthen your own line or knowledge than it is to try and cut the line of the opponent. Okay, so that goes to competition. It goes to in our own lives. Instead of trying to tear other people down, instead of trying to talk smack about somebody else or whatever, and no, they're not as good, could whatever, try and make it. No, we just talk good about us and what we're doing and why we have the cookie, right? We lengthen our own line and our own offering. We don't worry about what anybody else is doing, right? We just try to add to our own. Okay. And it makes it so attractive. Now, so we're going to not let anybody tear us down. When you see someone more successful than you, there are two ways to reach their level. You can either lengthen your own line or you can try and lower them down. Unfortunately, most take that second option. They try and lower people instead of trying to surpass them. Don't let this happen to you. Look at what the successful people do and follow their model so you can increase your own line. And always remember that the more successful you become, there will be people who want to now lower you to their level, right? And we're not going to let them do it. All right. Now, the second thing is this idea of having our finest hour. Okay. one thing that makes me laugh all the time is when people say that he was an overnight success. But we all know that doesn't work that way, right? What they don't know is how many years of work and preparation it had to go through to be an overnight success, right? Success does not come overnight. It comes from a lot of work and preparation. Tony Robbins teaches a way to prepare by means of a concept called immersion. So when we are interested in something or we need to learn something, we must get totally into that subject. We buy all the possible books on the subject. We find out who all the gurus are. We buy their audios or their books or whatever, right? And then for the next 2 weeks, okay, you can be totally immersed or submerged while listening to the audios and reading, whether it's during your lunch break, at night, whenever you can fit it in, right? In every free moment. And I'm convinced that you can learn any subject deeply in just 2 weeks if you focus on it and thus prepare for your finest hour. Okay. So it doesn't take years and years, right? It can be done literally in a matter of weeks or a few months. You can become an expert at something, but it does take some time. All right. Now, here's the third thing. Winston Churchill, having been elected as England's prime minister, went to the House of Commons with his statement. He said, I would say to the House, as I have said to those who have joined this government, I have nothing more to offer but blood, labor, tears, and sweat. We have before us a most serious dilemma. We have many long months of struggle and suffering ahead of us. They ask us, what is our policy? I tell you, it is to make war by sea, land, and air with all our strength and strength that God can give us. This is our policy. They ask, what is our goal? I can answer in one word, victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory no matter how long and hard the road. So that goes back to the commitment, right? The step number 4 is we're just going to do it no matter what. Okay, so let's dream big. I challenge each of you today to set goals to be a better leader. Decide today that you're going to be better. You're going to dream big and then focus and fight to make these dreams come true. This is how you're going to do your part to change the world. When you start living the high life, you will help others reach your level as well. Because by letting our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. So we're never going to say, I can't, right? Never, ever. Don't say that you can't do something if you've never tried, okay? And then we're going to be constantly reading, right? Reading at least one book a month. That should be one of your goals. So step number 3, setting goals. I would say one of the goals that you should set is how many books you're going to read, okay? Or how many chapters in a book you're going to read per day or something along these lines. But it could be anything from Jim Rohn, anything from Robert Kiyosaki, right? You got all the slight edge stuff, the how to win friends and influence people stuff. There's so many good books out there that we can be reading and constantly improving ourselves to become that $1 million person. So Brian Tracy, one of the great leaders out there, he taught, if you wish to achieve worthwhile things in your personal and career life, you must become a worthwhile person in your own self-development. And of course, Zig Ziglar, right? The famous Zig, what you get by reaching your destination is not nearly as important as what you will become by reaching your destination, right? It's all about becoming that successful person. And then, of course, we just want to do it. Personal development is your springboard to personal excellence. Ongoing, continuous, nonstop personal development literally assures you that there is no limit to what you can accomplish. And another Jim Rohn, if you want to have more, you have to become more. For things to change, you have to change. For things to be better, you have to get better. For things to improve, you have to improve. If you grow, everything grows for you. And then, of course, in the end, we have to be happy with who we are becoming, okay? So Zig sums it up like this. It makes no difference where you go, there you are. And it makes no difference what you have. There's always more to want. Until you are happy with who you are, you will never be happy because of what you have. So my friends, that is the message of step 5, personal development. Let's become the successful person, but also become the happy person, the person that is satisfied because, as Zig said, you can always have more, but it doesn't mean you're going to be happy, right? We need to become the successful person that finds true value and true satisfaction, not in all the wealth we obtain, but in improving the lives of the people around us and creating those relationships that will last a lifetime and beyond. So with that, that is the training for today. Thanks for jumping on, and we will see you all next week with more updates and more training. It's going to be fun. Step number 6 is know the biz. We'll talk to you then. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jeremy.